The Chess Zone is a production of Coffee for Dessert. Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Chess Zone. Coach Chad's here. I am going to walk you through some of my favorite puzzlers, and today I'm going to show you a really fun one of my favorite puzzlers, one of the first times I ever really tricked someone in correspondence. So, without further ado, we're going to head on over to the Chess Zone IG. Be sure to follow Coach Chad over on the Chess Zone. I'm posting every day, new puzzlers every day, and I'm going to show you a really awesome one. To give you a quick backstory, like I said, it was a correspondence game. I was actually in a correspondence tournament. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the chess.com Speed King series, but just sort of jumped into one of those at one point. A couple of years back, 2018, I think I was maybe playing this game or before. Nevertheless, I will not forget it, and I hope you don't either. So, here it is. Now, as you take a look at this initial position here, looks like Black's queen just took a pawn over there. What's that? B1, B2. Sorry. So it's an interesting position, right? We look like hanging pieces. There's a sort of a fork of the rook and knight, although not a complete and total fork. What we like to call a plastic fork over the chess zone. So after that move, white had an idea, and I was playing the white pieces in this game. I was planning on the queen sort of as a poison pawn idea, if you will. And so you'll see my countering idea here with the knight to a4. Okay, now I'm attacking the queen here with my knight, and again, the rook's not really under attack. My queen is protecting the rook at a1, so queen needs to move. There's an idea where the queen could move with check and up to b4. Of course, this would be one idea that could be played here, although it was not played in the game. But it would be sort of an obvious response here. Queen b4. We just bring the pawn to c3, and now the queen's defending the knight. So that's not what was played in the game, actually. What was played in my game was queen a3. A little bit, perhaps, more sneaky on my opponent's behalf, trying to fork my knight, and I had a weak bishop hanging at e3. So it sort of puts the real pressure on here. But still had that same idea of c3, queen protects the knight. But maybe some of you are seeing a sneaky idea building already, okay? I see what Black's idea was to follow up after I play c3 is b5. And you see all these arrows here focusing in on that weak c3 square, actually. But is it weak? Yes. It's weak because it's only defended by my knight who's on a3. So I have to move my knight on a3, or else the pawn at b5 is going to take my knight. So what can I do here to avoid undefending the c3 pawn? Well, because again, the queen's going to go ahead and try to put a forking position, lose another pawn. I've already poisoned one pawn, and things could get real ugly real fast. So what am I going to do here? Well, I had an idea in mind, and if you notice, I have a really strong bishop pair. Take a second to pause, think what I might play next, and keep in mind the strong bishop pair. Well, if you pick bishop to f4, I think you have the right idea in mind. Tempt my opponent into taking the knight. Just take the knight. Fine. I don't care. I have a really strong idea afterwards. Pawn takes knight. rook to b1, and white is absolutely winning. This is literally a Zugzwang position. Black doesn't have any good moves remaining. There's that bishop pair mating that I was alluding to. The queen can only check the king a couple times and should actually probably sacrifice herself, but even so, there's nothing that we can do to stop the attack at b8. Queen takes c3. Queen can just block. There's no defender of that b8 square, and you'll notice the other bishop is blocking this knight in here. We got a really sharp pin at d7, so that secures the position and allows the rook to feast at b8 thanks to the bishop assistance at f4. Really, really slick position here. So we can even look at a few other things. Queen d2 is one way, but we could have just brought the king to e2 also, especially if considering the idea that the queen might sacrifice herself to get out of this. I kind of actually like king e2 or king f1 a little bit better than queen d2, but you can see the queen might try to sacrifice to get out of this really slick, maybe, okay, if the pawn were to take, now the mating net sort of gone away, and you might be able to find some sort of counterplay eventually, but rook can just take now. Pawn captures the rook because we are again still threatening the b8 mate, and now the queen gets to do the same threat that the rook was facing. So that's why I kind of like to keep the queen on the light colored square d1 in this situation, but nevertheless, here's the same idea. If the king goes to f1, so what I had in mind was perhaps that there was maybe the bishop would come in and block, but that's just a pure sacrifice of a piece. As long as I see the mating net, which I planned along for, so I'm going to just take, and here it goes. So after I played queen d2, the queen could have blocked at that point, and the threat remains. Rook takes, b3, pawn takes, and now the queen we don't even care about recapturing the b pawn. We have such a fantastic mating net, you just go for it. So it was an awesome game, an awesome opportunity to play this really sharp poisoned pawn attack because we had the sharp bishop pair. Never underestimate that sharp bishop pair. Now, there maybe were some countering ideas where I could have got this wrong if I went too fast in the beginning and didn't get the timing right. This is all about the timing. We wanted to make sure the queen actually bought in just enough so that she didn't defend, because ideally black would have wanted the queen to be somewhere in the mix to defend here, but I tempted the queen into taking my bait and ended up with a really, really sharp mating net. So you can look all these positions. Any move for black from here is going to be made. a3, a5, a6, knight to f6. It doesn't matter. I'm mating you on the next move. You can try to make some space with your rook, but you're mated. You can try to tempt me with attacking on the other side of the board, but you're mated. So I really love this game. I go back to it over and over and over again. So much fun. It's the beauty of chess. So make sure you're following over at the Chess Zone so that you see all of the great games that I come up with, very similar to these. Welcome back to the Chess Zone. I have some great news today. Today is a great day for you to become better at chess. Go for it. You got this. Watch some videos, do some puzzles, and go over to coffeefordessert.com. Click on the header where it says the Chess Zone and look at a couple of the newest games that have just been released. I have been updating the archives, and I have a whole bunch of analysis to share with y'all. So go ahead, get to work. Coach Chad just said so. Give yourself a whole bunch. If some of y'all may remember a sneaky puzzle that I played in a correspondence tournament, well, I played the same opponent in 2 games. That's how tournaments usually work. When you're online, you usually play the same opponent twice, once white, once black. Got the chance to do that against this lucky opponent, and I came across a sneaky win both times. I showed you the first sneaky win. I got another sneaky one queued up, ready to go for us. So we'll head over to the chess zone. You can follow me every single day on your Instagram feed. I'm posting puzzles from bullet games, from correspondence games, from occasionally I might even get into some classical analysis. We'll see. So stay tuned, and please let me know what you think. Give me comments on those puzzles if you do follow. I'd love to hear from you guys. But without further ado, let's take a look at this game. And like I said, I was playing with the black pieces at this point. Take a look at the material. I got 2 rooks versus my opponent with a rook and a knight. Now pawns, count the pawns, I got 5, my opponent has 6. So interesting position, certainly not obviously winning for either of us at this point. Kind of it could be drawish for some at most levels of chess, but I had a really tricky idea. So go ahead and just take a look at this position. Pause the board for a second and see what you'd think you might play if you were the black, sitting behind the black pieces, and it was your turn to move. Give you a second, and then we'll come back to it. And again, if you want to pause and take like a minute or two, by all means do. I looked at this position for hours before I played my move, but I had the luxury of a 2 or 3 day time control. So we'll go ahead and show you. I played rook takes e5. Rook for a knight, you might ask, and I of course think you should ask that question. Why are we taking a rook is typically 5-point value, and a knight is typically 3-point value. I mean, what's the idea here? But I had the idea that my opponent would think that I'm just going for a draw, that I'm happy with the draw in this game. I've already beat him once, and maybe he thinks, oh, he just wants to draw, taking an easy way out. So recapture, of course, and our king will then, since also being checked, will definitely recapture. And note, we're sort of building an initiative. We have a nice pawn structure on H, with our H and G pawns here. Those are real nice, keeping white's king from coming up any of these squares, right? So that's sort of, the initiative is nice, and we have the initiative here also. We're keeping the king away, so the king is sort of being cornered back into his own area here, okay? And I liked that a lot. And so I recapture, and now what's white to do in this situation? If you're playing the white pieces, take a second and think, what might you do? Where can you make any gains? I mean, can you? Or should you just try to find sort of a repetition spot? I mean, I guess maybe this H, or the A7 pawn maybe is weak, I don't know, but not really. So my opponent played A4, thinking, again, I think he maybe thought we could just trade off material and call it a draw, or maybe he thought he had better rook after we exchanged pieces. But I did not want a draw. No intentions of a draw for me, because I saw how the king was being cornered, and it was a huge opportunity. So check with my rook was really crucial part of this combination. King has to step back to the second rank. Also could have played over here, perhaps. That was his only other legal move. However, still kind of the same idea for me either way. King e2, king takes e4, Again, keeping up this initiative, we're pushing the king back towards his end of the board. My king is aggressive in the center of the board. And now take another second and see, well, I'll show you what my opponent played as white. And now I want to see if you can find the winning move for black from this position. So go ahead and pause the game if you need, and I'll show you how I found the winning combination. If you pick rook to f2, you are correct. And you might be asking, what? How is that right, coach? You just lost your rook, a rook sacrifice. But it's a rook sacrifice that deflects the king away from his defender, from defending the rook, his own rook. And the king must take the rook. I mean, he can step away, but he can't defend. He has to stand here or where he is to defend the rook. Really awesome combination. So king takes rook, and my king takes the rook. And what's white to do now? How can white stop? Their pawns can't get past my pawn, so the king has to try to come back here, but my king can come over here. Now how can we stop this? How can we stop it? You can't. So you can try to move your pawns over here, but I think I even win this race. We don't even need to make the race happen, because why risk it? King can come here, check, step back, check, step forward. I have my queen. There's nothing you can do. So the other idea would be, hopefully, you could try this pawn, but again, I'm not falling for it. And you could move here, and I'm not falling for any tricks here. King now has to move. You could try again your trick. Now this time I wouldn't even worry about it. And game, set, match. So that was a really fun one that I played online correspondence on chess.com a couple years back in a nice tournament, and I really, really enjoyed finding the winning combination. And I hope you all enjoyed it too. And I believe all and any of us can become great at chess if we really put our minds to it, and if we dedicate our energy, we focus on what we want to happen. If we want checkmates, we'll get checkmates. If we want pins, we'll get pins. Pin exploits, checkmates, tactics, initiatives, that's all that I'm posting on my Instagram page every single day, and I hope you all will come check it out. Coach Chad over in the Chess Zone. And of course, if you want direct one-on-one coaching with me, Coach Chad, yours truly, I would be more than happy to set that up. All you have to do, follow me on Instagram, and you can drop in the direct message section. I'll get back to you as soon as we can. We can find out if I'm a good partner for you to help bring your game to the next level. I really think I can do it a lot of good for most of my students, and if I can't do good for you, I can point you in the right direction to someone who can coach even better than I can. So until next time, this has been Coach Chad. Thank you for watching this really fun checkmate puzzle. Take care. See you soon. I wish you all the best of luck. Welcome back to the Chess Zone, y'all. Coach Chad here with another daily puzzler to share with you. This one's from the archives from a while back. Really shocked me to find the solution, but I hope you guys find it as quickly as I can. And if you can't, well, keep practicing and we'll find you some tactics. Do those tactic puzzles every day on chess.com or lichess or wherever you play. I think puzzles are the best way to improve your game. 100%. I mean, even if you just do 5 a day, chess masters say they do hundreds a day. I follow a lot of accounts on Instagram where I see puzzles all the time, new ones every single day from really strong players. So if you want to see more chess puzzles in your Instagram feed, of course, you can follow Coach Chad over on Instagram at the chess zone. That's the period chess zone. You'll see posts from me every single morning when you get up. You're scrolling through your feed, maybe at your lunch break, depending on how the algorithm sends out my posts. Nevertheless, I always like to find a tricky combination to share. And without further ado, I have one to talk about today. Here is a really fun one. Now, I didn't come up with this from my own game, but I did find it during my tactical puzzle practice on chess.com. So go ahead and take a look at this position for a second and see what you think the best move might be for white to find a combination that will win the game. So give you a second. Feel free to pause the video, of course. Take your time. But typically when you're doing the tactic puzzles, you want to think in your most comfortable chess mindset. So if you typically play rapid games where you have 10 minutes on the clock, give yourself a good minute to find the best move, especially in a tense situation like this. If you're a bullet player like Coach Chad, myself, that is, I would like to find my winning combination within 10 seconds or so. I'd like to never waste more than really 5 seconds on an idea. So this game goes like so. The best move, and you should see the follow-up move immediately if you know the first move, is rook takes f6. Now, we took some material, so the black pieces need to respond. Queen must recapture. And now, go ahead and if you didn't see the follow-up, go ahead and pause your video and see if you can find the follow-up move now. And for those of you who did see rook f2, I hope you also saw this awesome move, queen a7, forking the rook that's sitting at b1, or I'm sorry, b8, and threatening mate on h7. So that's a really, really sharp tactic where we actually deflected the queen away from defending the whole 7th rank, allowing our white queen to jump all over it and keep up the initiative. So now if the black pieces want to go back and defend this checkmate threat, we just get to take that rook. And if black tries to move their rook, I don't see any space where the rook can go where it defends a7 or h7. I guess we could, of course, try something silly like rook to b7, but queen just takes the rook. Purely a sacrifice. And queen could now try to defend again. I mean, you could come to, what, f7, g7, 8, e7. My queen's just going to trade off, and we are up way too much material. You're down a bishop. So, really fun puzzle. Bravo to chess.com for keeping me sharp. And if you ever see a tactic like this where you can deflect the key defender away to set up a fork, really want to take advantage of that. So right here, we'll go back to the beginning of the puzzle. See, the queen is defending a7, and it doesn't allow the queen to access a7. But once we take the bishop, queen's got to do something. If the queen doesn't take, maybe the queen sees this tactic coming and they're like, uh-oh, I can't take there. I gotta come over here. Well, now we're just up way too much material. Well, that would be a blunder also. So maybe the queen comes here. But again, not great. We even have a check coming with our rook, perhaps. Maybe not great, but I think it actually is fantastic because you'd be like mating in just a second, like, you know, maybe can't live much longer than that. Running out of space. I think that would do it. So, Yeah, I mean, you gotta take the rook. You have to. You must capture. And once you do, you can't avoid this really sharp forking combination. You can come here with your queen, and we just take the rook. And this is more than enough to win, although you're going to have to play sharper's weight. No doubt this game could be lost. You could blunder it away for sure, but alright, that was a fun one, and you can see more fun ones regularly on my Instagram feed. And stay tuned for more longer videos coming where I go through a full game to try to get you guys in a really strong setup from some of my attacking opening ideas that I play, like the King's Gambit, the Polish Spike sometimes really opens up some tactics. And I just have a lot of ideas to share, and I'm going to have a coaching series that I'm going to drop. So be on the lookout for coaching series AAA, where it shows some of my favorite ideas, and I take you through the full game from the beginning through the middle to the tactical moment where everything turns into an end game and mating nets and all kinds of exciting opportunities. I'll even show you some of my mistakes, some games where I just did not see my opponent's idea, but together we can all learn a little bit more. So thanks for watching. You can stay up to date on Instagram, and that's all I got for you tonight. I wish you all the best of luck. This has been Coach Chad, and I hope to see you all soon. Cheers!